Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parivrtajacharya Astotara Sata Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Prem Sakaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham ki jai.
Jai.
Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki jai. Gangamai Yamunamai ki jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki. Gaura Premanandi.
Hari Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Prabhu.
you.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Today we continue our study of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are in the third canto, the 16th chapter. Today's verse is number 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Yesham Bibharmyaham Akanda Vikunta Yoga Maya Vibhutir Amalangri Raja Kiritai Viprams Tukona Vishaheta Yad Arhanamba Sadhya Punati Sahachandra Lalamalokan Yesham Bibharmyaham Akanda Vikunta Yoga Maya Vibhutir Amalangri Raja Kiritahai Viprams Tukona Vishaheta Yad Arhanam Baha Sadhya Punati Sahachandra Lalamalokan Yesham Bibharmyaham Akanda Vikunta Yoga Maya Vibhutir Amalangri Raja Kiritahai Viprams Tukona Vishaheta Yad Arhanambha Sadhya Punati Sahachandra Lalamalokan. Please chant.
Yesham bibarmyaham akhanda vikunta yoga Maya vibhuti ramalangri rajak kirithai Vipramstukona vishaheta yad abra arhanambha Sadhyah punati sahachandra lalamalokan.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
You can go, Mataji.
We can go. It's okay.
Okay. 1 second. Esha bibarmyaham akhanda vikunta yoga Maya vibhutir amalangri rajaki kiritahi Vipramstu kona vishaheti yad arhanam vaha सदया पुनाति सह चन्द्रा ललामलोकान्. Hare Krishna.
येषां बिभर्मि अहमखण्डविकुण्ठयोगा माया विभूतिरमलाङ्घ्रिराजा किरीटै विभ्रंस्तु को न विषहेत यद् अर्हनाम्बा सद्या पुनाति सह चन्द्रललामलोकान्.
येषां बिभामि अहमकन्द विकुण्ठयोगा माया विभूतिरमाङ्गिरि राजकीर्तय विपं त्रिकोणापि सहेत यत् अहं नम्ब सत्या पुनाति सह चन्द्रललामलोकम्.
येषां बिभर्मि अहमखण्डविकुण्ठयोगा माया विभूतिरमलाङ्घ्रिरजकिरीटै विभ्रांस्तु को न विषहेत यद् अर्हनाम्बा सज्जा पुनाति सह चन्द्र ललामलोकान्.
Anyone else? Okay. Yesham of the Brahmanas. Bibharmi, I bear. Aham, I. Akanda, unbroken. Vikunta, unobstructed. Yogamaya, internal energy. Vibhuti, opulence. Amala, pure. Angri, of the feet. Rajaha, the dust. Kiritahai, on my helmet. Vipran, the Brahmanas. To, then. Kaha, who? Na, not. Vishaheta, carry. Yat, of the Supreme Lord. Arhana Ampa, water which has washed the feet. Sadhya, at once. Punati, sanctifies. Saha, along with. Chandra Lalama, Lord Shiva. Lokan, the three worlds. Translation by Abhaycharan Aravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the remnant left after my feet are washed. That water sanctifies the three worlds along with Lord Shiva, who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same? This is Lord Vishnu speaking. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The difference between the internal and external energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is that the internal energy, or in the spiritual world, all the opulences are undisturbed, whereas in the external or material energy, all the opulences are temporary manifestations. The Lord's supremacy is equal in both the spiritual and material worlds, but the spiritual world is called the kingdom of God, and the material world is called the kingdom of Maya. Maya refers to that which is not actually fact. The opulence of the material world is a reflection. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that this material world is just like a tree whose roots are up and branches down. This means that the material world is the shadow of the spiritual world. Real opulence is in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, the predominating deity is the Lord himself, whereas in the material world, there are many lords. That is the difference between the internal and external energies. The Lord says that although he is the predominating factor of the internal energy, and although the material world is sanctified just by the water that has washed his feet, he has the greatest respect for the Brahmana and the Vaishnava. When the Lord himself offers so much respect to the Vaishnava and the Brahmana, how can one deny such respect to such personalities? Verse again, this is Lord Vishnu speaking. I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the remnant after my feet are washed. That water sanctifies the three worlds along with Lord Shiva, who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminatha Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatane Om Agnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, today we're going to be talking about the glories of the Vaishnavas and the Ganges. Before we get into that, I will just mention, because it was mentioned in the verse and then Srila Prabhupada mentioned it in the purport, the difference between the internal and the external energies. Of course, we know from Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, that the spiritual world is reality, and the material world is a reflection of that reality. So although it looks similar, there's no substance to it. It's just a shadow, right? When we identify with this shadow, or we consider that this shadow is the true reality, we will find that there cannot be any satisfaction, right? Just as if you try to feed the reflection of yourself in the mirror, it won't satisfy your hunger. It's impossible. That's why everything in the spiritual world. Let me go back and read exactly what it said there. Yeah, the opulences are undisturbed, whereas in the external or material energy, all the opulences are temporary manifestations, right? So that is disturbing, because we, spirit souls, are eternal beings. So when we see these things that we're actually striving for, the things that naturally we are attracted to, Krishna's qualities, but if we're only seeing a reflection of them that are going to be temporary, although we, spirit soul, are eternal, that's going to be very frustrating. So frustrating, disturbing, right? So in the spiritual world, everything is undisturbed because everything is properly situated, centered around Krishna, and moving harmoniously in loving service. Whereas in the material world, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, in the spiritual world there's one Supreme Lord. He's the center. In the material reflection, there are many so-called lords, many people trying to lord it over, trying to be the center of the enjoyment or the control. So that was one aspect, of course, that was discussed in today's verse and purport, because it mentions the internal energy. But of course, I want to focus on, we'll talk about the Ganges, because the Ganges is very important. but we're also going to talk about the Vaishnavas and the relation between the two, because this is what Krishna is doing here. This is what Lord Vishnu is doing. He's talking about the purity of the Ganges and how it purifies all of the three worlds. We read in the fifth canto. Of course, we read about the Ganges many places, but we read about how it distributes itself throughout the world, throughout the cosmos, um, in the fifth canto. So the Ganges is actually the water of the causal ocean. The causal ocean is that, or you would also call it the Viraj River, the barrier between the material realm and the spiritual realm. So it already has some spiritual qualities to it. But since it has entered this cosmos, our cosmic shell, and there are innumerable of these, so our universe is inside of one of these cosmic shells, and the Viraj River is on the outside, or the causal ocean is on the outside. And so Vamanadev, Lord Vamanadev, in his dwarf incarnation, many know the story, cracked that universal shell with his toe. And so that water that already has these spiritual qualities, being on the borderline between the material and the spiritual realms, then had washed the feet of Lord Vamanadev and then entered into this material world. So not only do we have this already nice, superior substance, the superior water coming in, but then it's washed the feet of the Lord. So now it's extra sanctified now, right? From there, Lord Shiva catches the Ganga on his head, the top of his head. You'll see the name for Lord Shiva in this verse had Chandra something. Chandra what was it? Chandra Lalama. So the Chandra part in Chandra Lalama refers to the moon. He wears a crescent moon on his head. But he takes the Ganges up above that to show that Krishna's mercy is the most important factor for anyone, no matter how powerful you are, no matter how beautiful you are, no matter how wealthy or intelligent or renounced you are. The most important quality is being a servitor of the Supreme Lord. Right. So although Lord Shiva, you will not find anyone more powerful than Lord Shiva in this world. He's actually not even of this material world. He's eternal, Sat Shiva. He's not like Brahma, who is most of the time a jiva that's taking that position of a creator. Sometimes that position is taken by the Lord himself. So he's not a jiva. He is basically his own tattva. He is almost like Mahavishnu, almost. But there is a small difference. But he is the most powerful being, and he's also the best Vaishnava. Vaishnavanam yata sambhu. Lord Shiva is the best of all the Vaishnavas. So he keeps that Ganges water on his head. And so what to speak of those purifying qualities of the Ganges? Oh, sorry, I forgot where I was there. So from Lord Shiva's head, then the Ganges gets distributed throughout, because the power of the waters of the causal ocean, it pretty much would have decimated anything it touched. But Lord Shiva, being so powerful, caught the Ganges on his head, and then from there it distributes over to Dhruvaloka, then the planets of the Sapta Rishis, which we know as the Big Dipper, Little Dipper, one of the dippers, the ones that go around the pole star, Dhruvaloka. Then from there, as it's said, it's carried by celestial crafts, and it lands on the top of Sumeru, and then it splits into 4 directions, and then it is dispersed throughout Bhumandala. Right, so we can read that particular bit in the fifth canto. But as pure as the water of the Ganges is, and as important as it is, Lord Krishna himself considers the dust of the feet of the Vaishnavas to be even more purifying, right? Because the Vaishnavas, the pure Vaishnavas, only desire is to please Krishna. So if one wants to please Krishna, the best means to do that is to please one of his dear devotees, right? So he's saying if he's willing to take the dust of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas on his head, then everyone should also give respect to the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas. So I want to read a few things. The first thing I will read to talk about the position of the Vaishnavas. This first one will be also, it'll be from the fifth canto, the earlier chapters though, before it talks about the cosmic manifestation. This is King Rahugana speaking to Jad Bharat, right? So those of you who know, Bharat Maharaj was a very pious king. Toward the end of his life, he took Vanapras to meditate upon the Supreme Lord. But he became distracted by a baby deer who was suffering greatly, lost their parent. And so Bharat Maharaj, being a Kshatriya and being a protector by nature, he took this deer under his protection. So he made sure that this baby deer was fed, gave it appropriate shelter, and so on. The deer had no other shelter. He's a Kshatriya, no problem. The problem then, though, arose when he became too attached to that deer, and beyond just the natural compassion of a Vaishnava and duty of a Kshatriya to take care of this deer, it was actually affecting his bhajan, his devotional practice. He was focused more on the deer than his devotional practice. As a result of that, he had to take birth as a deer. But he retained all of the memories from his previous life. Then, the life after that, he took birth also in a pious family, but he didn't want to become distracted again. So he pretended to be dumb. So thus Jad Bharat. So he pretended to be dumb. He roamed around, didn't speak, covered himself in filth instead of bathing, all sorts of things. So many different troubles occurred. We're not going to go into all of them. But one day, King Rahugana, he was being carried on his palanquin nearby to where Jad Bharat was, and they needed another able-bodied person to carry this palanquin. And so Jad Bharat was, he was a strong fellow. He just didn't speak. So anyway, he was given the service, so he did it, but he was being very careful not to step on any ants. So he wasn't stepping in time with the other palanquin carriers, so the palanquin was it was a bumpy ride, let's say. So King Rahugana was upset, and he offended Jad Bharat for not doing the job of being a palanquin carrier very, very well. But he very soon found out that Jad Bharat was actually a quite elevated Vaishnava by the conversation that was had. So he immediately regretted that he offended this great soul once he realized, oh, this is actually a great personality. So this is fifth canto, 10th chapter, verse 25. King Rahugana is saying, "O my dear Lord, you are the friend of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the friend of all living entities. You are therefore equal to everyone, and you are free from the bodily conception. Although I have committed an offense by insulting you, I know that there is no loss or gain for you due to my insult. You are fixed in your determination, but I have committed an offense. Because of this, even though I may be as strong as Lord Shiva, I will be vanquished without delay due to my offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava." I'm going to read some of that again. So first, King Rahugana, he's understanding that since Jad Bharat is a devotee, he is the friend of all living entities, right? So he doesn't have an enemy. He's equal to everyone, right? And he's free from the bodily conception, right? So certainly King Rahugana's insults didn't even pertain to him because they were pertaining to the body, the external body of Jad Bharat. And he's equal to everyone, so even if the insults were pertaining to him instead of the body, he's equal to everyone. He's the friend of all the living entities as a devotee. So although there's no loss or gain for Jad Bharat, due to that insult, right, he doesn't take it seriously. King Rahugana knows that, yeah, you're not going to take it seriously, but the Supreme Lord will absolutely take it seriously because you are a Vaishnava, you are a great Vaishnava, and I just offended you. Therefore, even if I am the strongest in this entire universe, there is no possibility that I can avoid being vanquished by the Supreme Lord because of this offense, this severe offense to the feet of a Vaishnava. So King Rahugana, also pious king, he understood the severe, I lost the word that I was looking for. I can't find the word that I was looking for. Anyway, the severity of the situation. He understood how... I still don't have the word. Anyway, how strongly this offense was. Right. So this shows us just how... is one verse that shows us how important the Vaishnavas are to Lord Vishnu. Another verse that I'm sure we all know, this one's coming from the 9th canto, 4th chapter, verse 68, the pastime of Maharaj Ambarish and Durvasa. And I don't want to go into the whole pastime, we'll talk about it a little bit, but there was a misunderstanding and a one-sided dispute, and Lord Vishnu's Sudarshana Chakra stepped in to resolve the issue with haste, and Durvasa was trying to figure out a way to be relieved of that burden of running from the Sudarshana Chakra, who moves faster than the mind. So finally, Durvasa, on the advice of everyone, goes to Lord Vishnu directly, the wielder of the chakra, to beg for forgiveness. And this verse that Lord Vishnu speaks to Ambarish is also very important, and it's pertinent to what we're talking about today. Lord Vishnu says to Durvasa Muni, Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham mad anyate na jananti Naham tebyo manag api. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam. The sadhus are my heart. That's what Lord Vishnu is saying. And I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. Right? My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anything else but them. Here's Srila Prabhupada's purport to that verse, or some of the purport. Since Durvasa Muni wanted to chastise Maharaj Ambarish, it is to be understood that he wanted to give pain to the heart of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the Lord says, Sadhavo hridayam mahyam, the pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. So we have to remember that if we want to criticize a devotee, that implies that we want to criticize the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada continues his purport. The Lord's feelings are like those of a father who feels pain when his child is in pain. Therefore, offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava are serious. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very strongly recommended that one not commit any offense at the lotus feet of a devotee. Such offenses are compared to a mad elephant, because when a mad elephant enters a garden, it causes devastation. Therefore, one should be extremely careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of a pure devotee. Actually, Maharaj Ambarish was not at all at fault. Durvasa Muni unnecessarily wanted to chastise him on flimsy ground. Right, so the story, just in case anyone might not know it, Maharaj Ambarish was fasting for an Ekadashi. And the next day on Dvadasi, he was feeding all of the sadhus that were around. And it's customary that the host doesn't eat until all of the guests have eaten. Just toward the end of that feast, Maharaj Ambarish and his crew Durvasa Muni and his crew were traveling by, and so naturally Maharaj Ambarish also offered to feed Durvasa Muni and his whole crew. And so they accepted that invitation, but they wanted to first take bath. Right? It's customary that before honoring prasadam, one should cleanse oneself, because that's non-different from Krishna and you're interacting. Right? So Durvasa went to then take bath with his crew. And Maharaj Ambarish, he realized that the window for breaking Ekadashi was approaching, and he knew that he wouldn't actually have the time to do it. But he also didn't want to eat anything before feeding his guests. So he consulted with the sages that were there and said, okay, how about if I take a little bit of water, then at least I'm honoring Krishna by breaking the fast on time, but I'm also honoring the guests because I'm not going to actually eat anything. I'm just going to take a little water. So it's simultaneously eating, but not, it's breaking the fast without breaking the fast, right? So in other words, his priority, of course, his priority is to serve the Vaishnavas, Durvasa, he considered a Vaishnava. But the first priority, just like Lord Shiva, although he's quite powerful, he puts the water of the Ganges on his head. So the most important thing for the Vaishnava is to please the Supreme Lord, right? Because the Supreme Lord's pleased, the devotees are pleased. If the devotees are pleased, the Supreme Lord's pleased. So he's trying to please both. So he figures out a way to break fast without breaking fast, to honor the Ekadashi Vrata, which is designed for Krishna. We're not fasting for health reasons or anything else. It's for the pleasure of Krishna. Everything for the Vaishnava should be for the pleasure of Krishna. Idam Krishnaya, idam namama. This is for Krishna, this is not for me. So all of our activities should be thus driven. So Durvasa understands that Maharaj Ambarish took some water, and he becomes furious, and he pulls a tuft of hair from his head, and he creates this demon who is there to punish Maharaj Ambarish for the offense of taking prasad before the guests. Of course, as we said, it was a misunderstanding and an overreaction. At that point, the Sudarshana Chakra of Lord Vishnu shows up to protect his devotee, annihilates the demon that came from that tuft of hair that Durvasa made, and then started chasing him everywhere. And so Durvasa, he's trying to rectify the situation. So Srila Prabhupada continues that purport. Maharaj Ambarish wanted to complete the Ekadashi Parana as part of devotional service to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he drank a little water. But although Durvasa Muni was a great mystic Brahmana, he did not know what is what, right? So in this stage, we would say that obviously Maharaj Ambarish is the more advanced devotee. And although Durvasa Muni is also a devotee, he wasn't in full knowledge. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a so-called learned scholar of Vedic knowledge. The devotees, being always situated in the core of the Lord's heart, surely get all instructions directly from the Lord, as confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 10:11. I think most of us know this verse as well. Tesham evanakam partam aham jam tamaha nasayam yatma bhavashto jnana dipena bhashvataha. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with a shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada continues that purport. The devotee does not do anything not sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So Maharaj Ambarish wasn't acting according to whim. He was acting according to the desires of the Supreme Lord. Because the devotee actually will not do anything that's not sanctioned. The devotee will always accept what's favorable for the service of Krishna, and will reject anything that's not favorable to the service of Krishna. The purport continues. As it is said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigneha Na Bujhaya. That's Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila 23:39. Even the most learned or experienced person cannot understand the movements of a Vaishnava, a pure devotee. No one, therefore, should criticize a pure Vaishnava. A Vaishnava knows his own business. Whatever he does is precisely right because he is always guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a very important sentence, because we can look at that both ways. We should understand the value of a Vaishnava, but we should also know what Vaishnava means. Vaishnava means that whatever they're doing it for Vishnu. Idam Krishna idam namama. So if we want to be considered as a Vaishnava, so we are aspiring Vaishnavas, of course. We haven't reached perfection by any means. But since we are aspiring to be Vaishnavas, we have accepted Vishnu or Krishna as the Supreme Lord, then that means that every thought, every word, every action we perform should be guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by Guru Sadhu Shastra, right? So a Vaishnava knows his business. Whatever he does is precisely right because he is always guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we as aspiring Vaishnavas should get in the habit of accepting those things that are favorable, that are given by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and rejecting everything that is unfavorable. Therefore, we can gradually come to this platform of Vaishnava, right? Until then, we are aspiring Vaishnavas. So this verse, the Sadhavo Hridayam Mahyam, that is also quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the very first chapter of Adi Lila. It's talking about the spiritual masters, the various types of gurus. And I want to read some of Srila Prabhupada's purport from that. So it's the same verse, it's just now in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in this context, there's a little more that I want to read. So Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport, This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with a misunderstanding between Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarish. As a result of this misunderstanding, Durvasa tried to kill the king when the Sudarshana Chakra, the celebrated weapon of Godhead, appeared on the scene for the devoted king's protection. When the Sudarshana Chakra attacked Durvasa Muni, he fled in fear of the weapon and sought shelter from all the great demigods in heaven. Not one of them was able to protect him, and therefore Durvasa Muni prayed to Lord Vishnu for forgiveness. Lord Vishnu advised him, however, that if he wanted forgiveness, he had to get it from Maharaj Ambarish, not from him. In this context, the Lord Vishnu spoke this verse, the Sadhavo Hridayam Mahyam. The Lord, being full and free from problems, can wholeheartedly care for his devotees. His concern is how to elevate and protect all those who have taken shelter at his feet, right? Krishna actually feels indebted to those who have surrendered unto him. This same responsibility is also entrusted to the spiritual master. The bona fide spiritual master's concern is how the devotees who have surrendered to him as representatives of the Lord may make progress in devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always mindful of the devotees who fully engage in cultivating knowledge of him, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Right, and then the next verse that's quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter 1 after this Sadhavo Hridayam Mahyam, also relevant to what we're talking about, is Srimad Bhagavatam 1st Canto, 13th chapter, verse 10, where Maharaj Yudhishthira is talking to Vidura. And this is another verse that I think most of us know. Maharaj Yudhishthira says to his uncle, "Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage." Right? So the devotees, the pure devotees, since they are always carrying the Supreme Lord in their hearts, they can purify places of pilgrimage. Right? So the places of pilgrimage, they are places of pilgrimage because that's where the Supreme Lord performed his pastimes. But many people travel to these places of pilgrimage, and some contamination can happen. Because if one is not focusing on actually the Lord's pastimes, if one is focusing on something else, that can pollute the atmosphere. Now, it doesn't take away the fact that Krishna performed his pastimes there, but it does take away some of our access to that. But the saintly persons, because they are always carrying Krishna within their heart, and because they are giving that freely to everyone around, they are able to purify those places of pilgrimage. They are also able to create their own places of pilgrimage, even where Krishna did not. I mean, Krishna is everywhere, of course, but where Krishna did not personally perform pastimes, they can create places of pilgrimage because the Supreme Lord, being in their heart, always directing everything they're thinking, saying, and doing. The pure devotee establishes places of pilgrimage wherever they go. They themselves are the places of pilgrimage. In the purport to that verse, Srila Prabhupada writes, so this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this verse was spoken by Maharaj Yudhishthira to Vidura in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.13.10. Maharaj Yudhishthira was receiving his saintly uncle Vidura, who had been visiting sacred places of pilgrimage. Maharaj Yudhishthira told Vidura that pure devotees like him are personified holy places because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always in them, in their hearts. By their association, sinful persons are freed from sinful reactions, and therefore, wherever a pure devotee goes is a sacred place of pilgrimage. The importance of holy places is due to the presence there of such pure devotees. Right? So that is the importance of the holy places. And here's the original purport from Srimad Bhagavatam. If anyone visits a holy place, he must search out the pure devotees residing in such holy places. Take lessons from them. Try to apply such instructions in practical life and thus gradually prepare oneself for the ultimate salvation, going back to Godhead. To go to some holy place of pilgrimage does not mean only to take a bath in the Ganges or Yamuna, or to visit the temples situated in those places. One should also find representatives of Vidura who have no desire in life save and except to serve the personality of Godhead. Right? So these devotees whose every thought, mind, and word is guided by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, we are to take instructions from them, understand those instructions, and apply them within our lives. The purport continues. The personality of Godhead is always with such pure devotees because of their unalloyed service, which is without any tinge of fruitive action or utopian speculation. So, by their actions, the pure devotees of the Lord can render any place into a place of pilgrimage, and the holy places are worth the name only on their account, meaning they're only holy places because of the presence of the sadhus who can give Krishna to the pilgrims that are there. Such pure devotees, continuing the purport, are able to rectify the polluted atmosphere of any place, and what to speak of a holy place rendered unholy by the questionable actions of interested persons who try to adopt a professional life at the cost of the reputation of a holy place. Right, so obviously if there's a place of pilgrimage, a bona fide place of pilgrimage where Krishna performed his pastimes, it means there's going to be a lot of people there. A lot of people means a lot of business opportunity. So say some locals set up a business and they're getting, they're making some money, and then naturally some competition's going to want to come in from outside, right? They see the potential, right? And so this will happen, and this can pollute the atmosphere because it can be more about the money than it is about the actual experience of Krishna's pastimes. So places of pilgrimage can become covered from our perception. They're not truly covered in reality, but in the reflection that we're dealing with, they can become covered. But the saintly persons who are visiting those holy places, they're reminding everyone of Krishna. Not only the pilgrims, but also the vendors. They're able to purify even their consciousness, right? So, as it says in this purport, those holy places are holy only because the sadhus are there. They maintain that spiritual atmosphere because they are carrying the Supreme Lord within their hearts, and all of their thoughts, words, or actions are based on Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is there. I'm going to read another purport. Oh, I've gone very long. Okay. I had so much more that I wanted to read because it's such a wonderful and beautiful topic, and I wanted to do a little bit more after that too. Let me skip a bit. It's hard to decide what to skip. It's like picking a favorite child.
I would say read it. It was really good.
Well, there's more, but then there's something I think that's even more important that I want to get to as well. I'm going to read. Okay, I'm going to read one more thing. It's all so long. But then I want to do something at the end of this. Okay, so 4th canto, 24th chapter, verse 58. This is the songs of Lord Shiva, the song of Lord Shiva. So this is one of his prayers, very beautiful prayer. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the cause of all auspicious things and the destroyer of all the contamination of sin. I therefore beg your lordship to bless me by the association of your devotees, who are completely purified by worshiping your lotus feet, and who are so merciful upon the conditioned souls. I think that your real benediction will be to allow me to associate with such devotees. This is Shiva, the best Vaishnava, the one who holds the Ganga on his head, and he's praying to the Supreme Lord to allow him to associate with the devotees, because the devotees are serving those feet, right? He's just getting from his context, of course, Lord Shiva is doing valuable service in this realm eternally. But from his perspective, he's just getting the dust of the feet, whereas the Vaishnavas, they're serving the feet of Vishnu. And so the dust of their feet is even going to be even more valuable, right? So Lord Vishnu says it, Lord Shiva says it. So it's worth taking it very seriously. Srila Prabhupada's purport to that verse. The Ganges water is celebrated as being able to eradicate all kinds of sinful reactions. In other words, when a person takes his bath in the Ganges, he becomes freed from all life's contaminations. The Ganges water is celebrated in this way because it emanates from the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, those who are directly in touch with the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who are absorbed in the chanting of his glories are freed from all material contamination. Such unalloyed devotees are able to show mercy to the common conditioned souls. By his exemplary prayers, Lord Shiva teaches us that our best course is to take shelter of Lord Vishnu and his Vaishnava devotees. And one last purport, because it mentions mentions what I was talking about earlier, the moon that Lord Shiva has on his head. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, 18th chapter, verse 28. There's a lot of 8s there. Purport, the purport of that verse. Lord Shiva is known as Gangadhara, or one who carries the water of the Ganges on his head. On Lord Shiva's forehead is the emblem of the half moon. Yet to give supreme respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva places the water of the Ganges above this emblem. This example should be followed by everyone, or at least by every devotee, because Lord Shiva is one of the Mahajans, right? So Lord Shiva, very powerful, great devotee, Mahajan, head of a Sampradaya, a bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya. He is praiseworthy, but higher than that, and the reason, which is also the reason why he's praiseworthy. So he knows why others would give him praise, but above that, his own symbol, which is the half moon, he has the Ganges, the foot water of Lord Vishnu, on his head, right? So this is actually what qualifies him to be a Mahajan. Continuing that purport, almost finished. Similarly, Maharaj Bali also later became a Mahajan. One Mahajan follows another Mahajan, and by following the Parampara system of Mahajan activities, one can become advanced in spiritual consciousness. The water of the Ganges is sanctified because it emanates from the toe of Lord Vishnu. Bali Maharaj washed the lotus feet of Vamanadev, and the water with which he did so became equal to the Ganges. Bali Maharaj, who perfectly knew all religious principles, therefore took that water on his head, following in the footsteps of Lord Shiva. Right, and then of course we know from the song of Lord Shiva, even more merciful is serving the Vaishnavas, even more purifying than the Ganges. So I want to stop there as far as what I'm reading, but now what I would like to do, and I hope everyone participates in this, since we're talking about the glorification of Vaishnavas. Now I could glorify so many Vaishnavas for months on end without stopping. I've had so many wonderful opportunities, so much great fortune of so many highly advanced devotees. What to speak of, our Srila Prabhupada, who did so much for each and every one of us. So I want to just say a quick glorification to some Vaishnavas, and then I invite all of you to just say a glorification of some Vaishnava that really turned your life around. It can be Srila Prabhupada, it can be anyone. It could be an acharya, it can be a personality from Bhagavatam, it can be someone that you know personally, it could be your guru, etc. So to start things off, and I hope I don't embarrass anyone here. Again, it doesn't have to be anyone that's actually here, but I'm going to glorify two people that are here. One, Vindhyavali Mataji. She's very steady, always here, very enthusiastic, and very encouraging to everyone that's speaking. She enthusiastically hears everyone speaking of Krishna's pastimes, and she's very encouraging. She always encourages everyone that's
It is too much, Prabhu.
classes.
Too much.
I hope I'm not embarrassing you, Mata, but honestly, I hope to cultivate these qualities of steadiness, enthusiasm, and encouragement because they are very valuable. And I'm also going to glorify your lovely daughter who has been doing this service of keeping this forum going. This is 5 years now that this online Srimad Bhagavatam class has been going. And it has a really nice attendance where it reaches people that wouldn't normally be able to go to the temple. And it's just
Wish Krishna's
such a nice,
blessings, all the Vaishnavas' blessings.
such a nice resource. Yeah, and all both of you are doing is taking advantage of Krishna's blessings and doing your best to serve Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra in that way. But I very much appreciate both of you. I see that your daughter is now uh, not not on
Thank you.
the call anymore, so at least I'm not embarrassing her. So I'm sorry if I embarrassed
Thank
you. Um, but now, would anyone else like to go? And it can be anyone, your spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, anyone that has really inspired you to become a better Vaishnava. Please, anyone. I know everyone in here has gotten some serious inspiration from other Vaishnavas. So, please.
Hare Krishna. As you said, you have to pick a few. And I'll start with you, Prabhu. I'm always very inspired by you. Regardless of all the difficulties, material difficulties you might have, there's no heat, there's no internet, you're in Vrindavan, you're in Mayapur, regardless of where you are, you always take out time and somehow you're able to come and share nectar with us. So I definitely want to appreciate that. I know a lot of us would say, oh, it's not working, I can't do it, sorry, canceled, but you really, really extend yourself and you make it happen. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Mother Golokanand Priya. She has been amazing. She's a senior and she is really an example of Das, Das, and Das. I really look up to her because she absolutely has zero pride, no false ego whatsoever. She is really amazing. And I'm so glad that you're doing this because I never get to tell her this, that I really appreciate her service attitude and how she is so humble and so just, down to earth, and it's just an amazing quality that she has, and I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Jai. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. Without the mercy of the Vaishnavas, we would be nowhere. Who would like to go next, please? Anyone, anyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I would like to glorify Suhit Garanga Prabhu. He's one of our temple devotees. He serves as our head pujari. And for many years, I really took for granted the service of the temple devotees. And Suhit Garanga Prabhu has been here, I'd say almost maybe 15, almost 20 years. And seeing him, his dedication year after year, RT after RT, dressing after dressing, boga offering after boga offering, cleaning after cleaning, kirtan after kirtan. It's just really commendable, just his dedication to our lordships. It's not easy. I mean, oftentimes we may think like, okay, temple devotees, just something simple, but I mean, they're up every morning, 4 o'clock, 4:30, and their schedule is Krishna's schedule. And again, sometimes we go there on Sundays and we allow the congregation member, they allow the congregation members to do the service, so you don't really see them so much. If you're not there during the week, you just think, okay, well, this guy just kind of walks around and he's talking to people. but Monday through Sunday, they're up in the morning and throughout the day, putting Krishna to sleep. And anyway, I wanted to appreciate him as well as all the other temple devotees, but he's the one that came to mind.
Joy. Yeah, very important service. Very, often overlooked, as you mentioned. And I love the fact that he's obviously doing it for Krishna, because then when everyone's there, he's allowing someone else to do it. So it's not about him; it's about the service to Krishna. So, yeah, these are always really good examples of someone who's willing to, work in the background. They're not in it for the glory. They're in it to glorify Krishna. Good. Thank you. Who else? So many Vaishnavas influenced our lives. Let's appreciate them.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. First of all, actually, I glorify all the speakers on this Zoom, because every day is a stepping stone for me. I learned something, and it is inspiring to me. And I listened to from the temple in Columbus. So there's a devotee, so he teaches, he's giving classes on Bhakti Shastri. That is really inspiring to me. He does not know me. I don't know him, but his speeches on Nectar of Instruction and Upanishad, all those really impact me. Very, very impactful. And I also want to glorify Vishnu Gada Prabhu because his shloka classes so inspiring, and I'm learning so many new things, and he knows things very in depth. And really, I feel like I have to get connection to Krishna because of his mercy on us. And I'm really thankful. Hare Krishna.
Good. Thank you. Hare Krishna. And his kirtans are always amazing. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I would like to eternally and always give gratitude to my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, for his ability to withstand many uncomfortable things in his life, and rise above and see the need and exude compassion and love always in each circumstance, and to inspire honesty in relationships with devotees, and give that wonderful understanding that we don't have to be perfect, and it's not what we do, it's how we do it. So in our service to Krishna, we can profess so many things, but ultimately Krishna already knows in what's happening and how it's being done. So there are no lies. There can never be any lies. But my Guru Maharaj Bhakti Tirtha Swami, the embodiment of compassion, power, strength, love, and service, as well as this amazing ability to inspire on the purest levels. So that's what I hold on to. And another thing that I'd like to offer also is one of his characteristics is that he appreciated everyone. So at this time, I'd like to appreciate everyone on the call in that mood of my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, because he was the ultimate example and still is, and the connection is still there. And by his grace, I still float. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yeah, he's very good at encouraging the devotees to cultivate nice, appropriate relationships with one another. Absolutely.
I also want to thank you, if I might, just briefly, because I've known you since you were 19. We served together at Gitanagri and Penn State, the good old days, and your classes at Penn State at 19, with all of the other wonderful devotees that were around us. We had our whole team together, bring the harmonium, the mridanga, the prasadam, and go and sit in that gray room with gray carpet and gray chairs. And you're still doing it, Prabhu. So I really want to give great appreciation to you for sticking in there, holding on, and just continuing no matter what. And that's an inspiration, I think, that we can all understand, or hopefully will understand one day, that it's not about us. And you're definitely the embodiment of commitment to Seva no matter what. So thank you again. Hare Krishna.
You're very kind, Hare Krishna. Anyone else? No one else?
I'll go, Prabhu.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Obviously, I'd like to show my appreciation to everybody here. I learned so much from everyone on these calls, whether it's on the calls or in person every Sunday or events at the temple. But I know Dronachari, you already said Suheet. I'd like to say Suheet and Sri Brajdam. I work with them all day Sunday in the kitchen, and just to see their devotion, just to see their love, not only for Krishna, but the devotees. It's just so inspiring. And it's week in, week out. They never take any shortcuts. It's just great to see, great to learn from them. And I'm very appreciative that I'm able to spend all day on Sunday with the two of those. So thank you.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Throughout the years, I have so many I have been with so many wonderful devotees, and some that is closer to my heart is one of my friends who departed is Mother Krishna Priya. She's no more. She's from North Carolina, and His Holiness Bir Krishna Maharaj. They really, really helped me in my spiritual life. After being in so many temples, and finally I ended up in North Carolina. They are the source of my support, and they taught me so many, have to be a real Vaishnava. Even I'm not at the stage, but by the example, by the devotion to Krishna, and by the exemplary, like Bir Krishna Maharaj, you will never miss one day of Mangal Aarti. I didn't come to that stage. And he will always chant his round. He will always chant his round in the association of the devotees. And he's very strict about what he eats, what he doesn't eat. And he has so many wonderful qualities, and he's very determined. And even he's a manager and being criticized continuously by so many members in the community, he still remains fixed and steady in his service. And he's very compassionate. And sometimes devotees have so many fall down and so many problems. They'll go and approach him. He is very, very compassionate and listen to you. And he will not look down at you. So that's very wonderful qualities of a Vaishnava. So, by spiritual, I just get inspired by spiritual practice by steadiness in Krishna consciousness, and his main goal is to serve Srila Prabhupada mission. So that one I can learn. And so presently, I'm here in Philadelphia. I really appreciate, the dedication of this of Dronacharya Prabhu and Sita. They both doing such a wonderful service here, and I can see they just want to please Krishna and the spiritual master, and they really put so much effort. Even they have so much other responsibility. They have children, teenagers and grown-up children. They have to take care. They have a full-time job, but still, their life is just around how to make the temple better, how to make the Philadelphia temple better. And they're every week they're there, no matter what happened. They're there for all the festival. They're there for all the Sunday feasts. They're always there, just taking care of the temple. And I think their life, even during the weekdays after work or during work, they always engage somehow or other, try to do service for the temple, how to make the temple better, taking care of the devotees, taking needs and taking care of the congregation. And that's amazing service they are doing, and also, they always try to encourage devotees, to do service at the temple. And I have very nice experience with them. Both of them were really very kind and very gentle to me. That's what I appreciate. And they're very, and they're trying so hard just to please their Guru Maharaj and serve the temple. That what is very much needed. Not everybody can take so much responsibility, but they're being empowered, I think, by the Guru and Srila Prabhupada. I really appreciate the service and the dedication, to help Srila Prabhupada mission.
Jai.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, management is a thankless task. It's not for the faint at heart. It requires a lot of determination and sincerity. Very, very important job that nobody really actually wants. So yes, it's when someone is doing something for Krishna because it needs to be done, then that is a great mood, a great mentality. Yeah. So thankful to these devotees. Okay. Anyone else?
I echo Ataji about Drona Prabhu and Sita Mataji. Amazing and very inspiring watching them to do seva actually. And they are very loving and very caring devotees. I really appreciate whatever they do for everyone and for us. Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, our beloved Srila Prabhupada, who dedicated his entire life to his Guru's instruction to preach in the West. All of our lives were drastically impacted by his sincerity. The amount of resources that he provided for all of us, we could never begin to calculate how far in debt we are. So, yeah, we all owe everything to our Srila Prabhupada, Abhayacharana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Yes, his selfless servitude is something that, although we cannot imitate it, we should for certain strive for it, because that's what he wanted us all to do. That's what he wanted all of us to cultivate. We certainly are not him, but we can follow the process that he gave us to purify our senses, to become empowered by him. He himself wouldn't have claimed any the power. The power was coming through Krishna, right? So he was just he would have considered himself just that medium to transport that transcendental knowledge. And we too can purify ourselves to the extent that Krishna can work through us. And to whatever extent we do that, then Krishna already is working through us in some small ways. But the more we base all of our decisions, our thoughts, our minds, our words on that which we have collected from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, those which we know to be favorable for Krishna's service, and avoiding everything that's unfavorable, the more we can do that with sincerity, the more Krishna's potency can flow through us, and we can be instruments in his service. Okay, so we will stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Vanchakalpatrubhyascha
Nishya Privasindhuve Vichya Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Charachandra Prabhu, for having us do that exercise. And I think it's a good reminder that we should be doing this on a daily basis. Maybe not if time doesn't allow on Zoom, at least in our personal lives, thinking about those devotees and giving gratitude and appreciation for them.
It's good practice. Yeah, even if it's alone, just to think about the various examples that we've had the privilege of witnessing and then following, and then how it's actually affected our lives in such a major way. It's good to remember, acknowledge, and be thankful for that, and for the devotees in general. Yes.
Yeah.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.